3 months. 3 months next week.
Mm-hmm.
I get what Ice Cube is saying, and I agree up to a point, I guess, because even with my background, I feel sports has always been a distraction or could be distracting. But we gotta still keep the focus on what's important. But those couple of hours, however many days a week that we're actually watching sports and being entertained, doesn't stop us or dumb down or soften our stances on issues that are very important. And I mean, I went to, I guess, the protest yesterday. I feel it may have been a week late because even like on Saturday in DC, my brother went down there. He said it didn't feel like a protest; it felt more like a celebration. And just looking at the Instagram clips, I can tell. And actually going down there yesterday, it didn't feel. Tensions weren't high yesterday, but it wasn't that party atmosphere that was Saturday. But that was mostly because you had the go-go bands out there and the go-go crowd participating. Um, but as far as basketball, I mean, sometimes distractions are good. I mean, because we're not on the front lines 24/7, and sometimes we just need that break to recharge. This, yeah, like I said, this is actually a recharging, um, but not taking away anything from issues that we're facing. The very important issues that we've been facing, hell, since we stepped on the shores, but since the unindigenous people in of America stepped on these shores, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Shannon, what you think?
I'm on the.
Talking.
I think you just came back. Shannon.
Got him as reconnecting.
Yeah, he said it was reconnecting. Yo, Shannon. Let me see if I can get him back. I guess not. I guess we lost him. All right. Well, if he joins back in, we'll go back to him. But yeah, I definitely agree. Like, we definitely are not on the lines like 24/7, and that I just think that recharging thing is important. Like, we're going through a pandemic. Like, we can't forget that piece of it. And I mean, I can understand, like, definitely the go-go bands bring a party atmosphere kind of to wherever they go. Um, but I don't for me, I just can't buy the like the for me it's the culmination of the season. Like, if we want to talk about not starting the next season of the protest, all right, I feel that's a little bit different. Um, so we'll see.
Bringing them in.
Yeah, I think we're about to switch over. Hello.
My apologies.
All right, Olu, you here?
Yeah, I'm on.
All right, Shannon, I'm about to hit unpause, and then you could just jump on with your opinion. Hello.
Yes, sir. All right. So you guys didn't get anything of what I said before.
Not at all.
Oh man, I pulled one of your moves. I was straight.
Flowing, huh?
I was, I was going in. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm leaning 55-45 no. So I'm almost at a split. I'm leaning towards no. Just don't want to kill any momentum we have now with what's going on with the not just with the protest, but with people just not having a distraction to where they don't have to face reality. Uh, we don't have that much of a problem with that because we can perform that balancing act where we know when to turn it on, to press the gas, and when to rest. Uh, but it's just some people who are they're new to this, and we want to just keep them going, keep them motivated and inspired to keep learning and keep pushing for change, and not just have the NBA coming back being another news cycle to push this important stuff to the back. Where like, okay, now we can get back to gambling, we can get back to drinking and hanging out in the bars, which is all fine as long as you know when to get back to work.
So I definitely.
At the same time, I'm concerned about player injuries, like people being out, people being out of shape, not necessarily basketball shape. Older players whose bodies are not accustomed to having 3 months off and then getting back on at this part of the year. It's like your body is on a clock. It's been on that clock for many years now. So we got key players, getting injured, and just what happens if a star player gets the coronavirus, has to be quarantined for 2 weeks,
So
things like that. So I'd rather start fresh in December and just let it roll from there.
all right, so a couple things, and then we're joined by Dre from Honest Season, so I'll let him jump in. One, the 3 months, like I don't. Do we know that it matters when that happens? Because they've been off for 3 months, so isn't this akin to the time in the summer they'll be out? They're going to have a 3 week training camp down in Florida. I read today that everybody's getting tested and quarantined for 36 hours upon arrival. Those who test are at a minimum 10 days quarantine and can't return around people until they get 2 negative tests. So, the other thing is, I don't think people will stop protesting. Like, they can't play all the games. They have to clean in between the games. So, I don't know.
They are going to lump a lot of games together, though.
They can't.
There's going to be a lot of games available.
Not necessarily. They're only gonna be playing on 3 courts. They said 4 hours in between games, so it's gonna be a schedule kind of like we are for football. And if it's a terrible series, like a series that would be on NBA TV, we can't go to the bar. So like for me, I don't foresee the protest stopping, especially with all the momentum that's happening already with like different states coming to defund the police. Especially if at the end of a game, you have a star player who's just getting interviewed and they're like, oh yeah, in my home city, because nobody has any, they're not getting any gate receipts. No owner's getting gate receipts because it's all in Florida. So if they're playing, let's say Portland, right? Dame Lillard hits a shot, they make the playoffs. He's like, shout out to my people in Portland protesting, da 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 da. They now have that. Portland still gets all of that pub, but again, and I've already said this, like I get to not think about it for 2 hours, because every other moment I have to think about it. And so, like you say, keep the momentum. I'm worried about burnout.
Can I chime in?
Yeah, go ahead, Dre.
I'm gonna start with what you just said and try to work my way back. So you say you worry about burnout. He hasn't been, well, let's say right now it's like been 2 weeks max since he was murdered.
George Floyd. Yeah.
George Floyd. So if the Montgomery bus boycott
exceeded or eclipsed a year, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talking 2 weeks with burnout. It's not. I'm not saying you're wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But that's a bit
Okay.
unfair to
So
those who
no, no, no.
what?
Right, right. But then my pushback to that is sports was still happening during that bus boycott. So like they could go home, cut on the game, have a beer, watch the game, boycott, walk their miles the next day.
I
That's
dig
what I
all
think.
that, but we're only 2 weeks in. You know what I'm saying? Like if you were saying this in the 6th month, this is if this is actually when they're going to say they're going to be in. Like if this is October, then it's like okay, give them the relief.
I get that,
But
but things are
okay,
also moving faster. So like we can't compare that time because we get the images faster than they got in the '60s, right?
And
We get
yeah,
them
but
faster, and so
on the
we're
time that,
bombarded with them more. Go ahead, Olu.
and then it's just not Montgomery. Like because it's all over the world, all over the country. It can. I mean, we see how the news cycle is now. People just may not. I mean, we see even, and I wanted to touch on this when I talked about going to the protests or going downtown yesterday. We've seen how we can be pacified sometimes with the Black Lives Matter Plaza. Um, but those of us that know are still on DC Mayor Murray Bowser's back about real change as opposed to just paint on the ground. So some people could put so much into it, and it is so wide encompassing that I can see a burnout.
okay, but if no, I dig it. But is having the NBA helping or hurting that? Are you saying they're going to take a like, oh, I can breathe, and I'm going to jump back into the protest?
Yeah,
I think it can help.
yeah.
How you choose to use it. And my point before you got on is sometimes distractions are good as long as we still keep our focus and our eyes on the prize.
The major element of having a NFL, an NBA, MLB, a gladiator sport is to distract the people.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why it gets all the money. Like it doesn't get money because it's cool to play. You could play that without even knowing who Michael Jordan was. No shots at all. Just first thing that came to my mind. But you know what I'm saying? We could have played the sport and enjoyed the sport as it is without these people. But it's put in front of you because yes, they're great at it. That's right. But they're great at it. But they also distract us for periods of time because what I'm hearing right now is going back to what I've heard so far is okay. Say there's a gap for 4 hours in between the games. Are you saying people gonna run down and protest or pick up their phone? Like I dig it, I get it, but I just caution that I don't think I am concerned with it the timing of it returning, and I'm dividing myself from the fan who likes to watch sports to the person who right now understands the time and the situation we have
Mm-hmm.
and the opportunity. Like you have a terrible leader who you can bring down with just facts and basic and pressure and fear, but we're going to lose some of that pressure once the NBA comes back, and the news cycle is going to run with it, and they're going to run with it from areas of even if they try to tie in the Black Lives Matter or the movement or whatever it is, they're going to twist it so it's not really about the messaging in the first place. It's my fear. Now you can say you can have this players speak up and they can voice their concerns, but we've been doing this since '68, so it's like I don't think like for me like now it's not the time for sports. That's just big my big like at a high level. It's like nope, not the time to go play outside. It's just not. That's just my opinion. I get it. I'm not saying that. At the same time, I do understand why people will have it because some people need some outs and some venting. But if you care about humanity, how you can move forward, I think this is an opportune time that doesn't come out. They'll come around about every 50 years. It feels. So that's all.
I mean, I hear that. I understand that piece of it. I don't know. I don't know, man. It's just a lot. Like, there's no other outlet. And I totally understand it's not on the level of things that our ancestors fought and won for us. So I understand the privilege in saying this and saying what I'm saying as well. Um, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just think yes, we have time, but we can't do nothing until November anyway. And I don't know. I don't know if like I don't know. I don't with every self how much news we get so quickly. Like I just have a fear that we're gonna get too much. Like it's not the same as the '60s where there was 4 channels on TV, where there was like there wasn't as much media. Like you couldn't like pick up your phone, go to a social network, and find out what was happening. Everything was centralized in that one location. Now all this stuff is happening, and we're all getting it all in real time with no shut off. So
Okay, but you had 4 channels back then, but now if you don't really have to be consumed with all this. You don't have to turn to the news or CNN or whatnot. You get to pick and choose what you watch, what's on your feed, on social media, what you want to watch on Amazon Prime or Netflix or whatever the case may be. There's plenty of ways to escape it. Trust me, people who don't want to be bothered with it, they will find a way around it. And I don't know, like if it wasn't for Drew Brees, he just feel like he kept the party going, like
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like he probably if he didn't say anything, we probably still like okay, we ready for sports now, but he let you know, okay, wait a minute, we still got some work to do because they still think this is a game.
Right. Right. I'm trying to control my daughter and speak. So about the fact that they had 4 channels. Yeah, they had 4 channels. We have like 100, thousands now, but it's still operated and owned by like 6 major entities. So you get different flavors of the same stuff, and they're mostly driven to distract and mostly driven to promote you products. So even if you say, I can go zap out the HGTV, if you go to zap out the HGTV, you're not getting what's going on in Seattle. You're not getting what's going on in Portland. If you run over to TLC, you're not getting it. You run over to whatever you go to, it's still operating to distract you from the main issue. And like what Shannon just said, if you don't want to get tapped in right now, you don't get tapped in. So that's cool. Not worry about that. Not everyone's gonna be saved. But what I'm concerned about is that energy you had yesterday and this Saturday in DC. If there was 4 basketball games to be played on Saturday, you may not saying you won't, but you may not get that same level of enthusiasm. Especially, let's use DC for example, if the Wizards try and get that final spot, and there's nothing else to do in DC but that sport, that storyline. We're going to be tapped into that storyline.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
How long do we think the protests are going to be going? Even without, let's remove sports from the conversation. Sports coming back. How long do we think people are actually going to be in the streets protesting?
With I'm sorry, because anybody else wanted to join in, but if you're saying with this COVID, or that doesn't,
Well, yeah, we have to include COVID in it because that's the reality that we're played that major of a role the past 2 weeks.
No, but it has though, because okay, I'm sorry, go off, but like I don't think this moment happens without COVID, because you just got folks staring at their phones, and they can't. And that's the thing, like they want a state, like white folks want a state.
Well, I'm saying COVID hasn't. I don't think it's negatively. It hasn't had that great of a negative effect on the protest.
You know what I'm saying? But that's when you could. But you ask the question, how long you think it could last? I think it had
Effect.
I think it's had an effect. I mean,
It's a positive effect. People aren't working.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. Like I'm saying, like when you ask the question, how long you think?
Even with that, but even still, with everything that's going, with the reality that we're facing, if the NBA doesn't come back in a month, really 2 months time, it's 5 weeks, roundabout.
yeah,
What in 5 weeks do you think we still have those same number of protesters in the streets? Is what I'm saying.
Now the same number I can't say, but I think it will obviously fluctuate. But here's the thing, and what I think what me and Sam are speaking to, because you have COVID, there's going to be another hashtag. If it's a new fresh hashtag or a hashtag we didn't know about that was lost in 2018. But because everyone's at home staring at screens, they're not going to see anything but new and fresh hashtags. So that's what propels like like they haven't even gotten to the fact that they don't even know about Emmett Till yet on some real stuff. They haven't gone to who really shot King. They don't know about the Tuskegee the Tuskegee experiment. They don't know
Do we
about him.
feel that is coming? Is going to be that passionate about those?
All I can say is that if you have the NBA, it's harder to pierce it. That's all I'm saying. That's my
I
thing.
didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Sorry. If you have the NBA playing, it's harder to get that message out of other things.
To the others or to us?
To the others. To the others.
And we don't think the others. I mean, I can't speak towards that, but I mean, with the issues, with the instances that you brought up, I don't think there's been enough on that they know. It wouldn't. I don't think it'd be brand new to them.
But they really don't know, bro. Like the reason why George Floyd is significant because we were all at home. Like we've all seen that happen over and over again. And it was like, yeah, 2 weeks of protest and then blah. But this thing blew up because they're all at home.
But we haven't hit 2 weeks. We hit 2 weeks just now. So, and I guess this speaks to Olu's question. Like, are we going to need someone else to keep it going, or what?
Yeah, of course. I mean, unfortunately, yes. There's going to be more examples of we still got to figure out Breonna Taylor. So now everybody's like, yo, what's up with Breonna Taylor's people? And then next week it'll be someone else who got shot.
My thing is, I just don't think the people will be that. I don't think the anger will keep going, in my opinion. And that's kind of like what I saw yesterday. People weren't angry yesterday. It's kind of gotten to the point where we're down here just to see what it is. Oh, okay. Because the looting has stopped. I think the protesting or something, Dre, like my brother, he said on Saturday, it felt more like a celebration rather than a protest. It felt like, okay, something is getting done, and that speaks to the mural painted on 16th Street that I feel is like, okay, yeah, it's still more that needs to be done. You see what I'm saying?
I agree. And here's what I'm saying. And I think the reason why I'm on this stance is because I agree with everything you're saying. And that's why I say we can't afford to have the NBA. Everything you're saying is right. It could be dissipating, it could be like mellowing out, it could be more chill. But if you throw the NBA on top of that, it may go to a crawl.
In my opinion, this is where I'm looking towards the players to use their platform to keep it going. That's a tool that I feel that can be used to keep it going 2 months down the line, going into the fall.
With them playing, or with them saying I'm not gonna play.
Voice. And I think I don't really think the players lead the protest. I think they're more reactionary than anything. They see what's going on. It's like, okay, we want to be part of that. That's my opinion towards them. But it's like, okay, if the protest is still going, and this kind of speaks to the bread and circus thing, that's been there. That's always been there. But the people in the know still keep their eyes on the prize and still keep focused. Take the distraction when they take it, but when the game goes off, we're back to work.
Sorry, I don't have any information about that.
Okay, sir.
Sorry about that.
No, but go ahead. I agree that they're reactionary. They're not taking the charge and stepping up. I just fear that once they come back and playing, if you got a choice between going out there and risking your life against COVID or staying in the house with a cold bud, you're gonna stay in the house with a cold bud.
But so we want them to go. We want them to go out there and do that. Like I don't like that. Like, and again, for me, like, people should stay in there. If their platform is playing basketball to get the eyes on them, then why would we have them take that away? Like,
but are you talking about the people that's watching or the people that's playing right now?
I was talking about
okay.
But the people that no, I'm talking about the people that are watching with the COVID. Like that part, I'm talking about the people that's watching. Like,
I don't think they still gonna be in the streets. Like, I think the anger's gonna be subsided. My opinion. And I guess I would need to be proved wrong by the others. They're so passionate now, but even before them next week, 4th of July comes, are they still going to be, oh, Black Lives Matter, or is it going to be America the Beautiful? You know what I mean?
My only counter to that is that when Black Lives Matter started, we never saw this moment happening. So
Right.
I don't think it's fair to say, oh, they're going to scale back, not going to be as rah-rah as they once were. It's not a continuous.
It's not fair to whom?
Black to the movement, to the whatever the movement is, whatever the movement. It's not
Well,
fair to the
I'm
movement because.
towards the others.
But that's what I'm speaking to.
I think in this moment.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's unfair to say, oh, it may dip or they might feel as rah. They probably won't feel as rah-rah. But if you zoom out and if you compare this moment from when Cat was kneeling, the volume's gone up. Now we're not gonna blast it all summer. I doubt that, but you never know. What I'm saying is that when you zoom out, it's more of a progression, and something like the NBA in this moment will only diminish it. Well, not only diminish. I fear that it could possibly diminish
But
it.
here's the thing.
Real quick, Alphonse, real quick, and go back to what your point was about. Is it fair to have folks risk their lives to go out in the protest, right, during COVID? Well, is it fair to have the players do something to entertain us?
But
during COVID.
They are being tested, and were you on for that part?
I heard they were being tested in 36 hours, but they're still in a global pandemic, bro. It's still a global pandemic. Like, if and it's because we're in it, and we have like examples of like, okay, feast-filled, whatever. But if you were to say, yeah, they played through the Spanish flu, we're like, why is it like we look in the past, like, why is it a concern? And also, if you transpose basketball to people tap dancing, like I'm saying, like, if you just look at the root of what they're doing is entertainment. If they were the tap dancing all stars, and for 3 months they're gonna entertain us by tap dancing, you be like, what the fuck is this bullshit? Just how you would look at it, because I don't need to be seeing tap dancing when they're killing blacks in the street. But we're okay to say
they have the fucking Tonight Show every night virtually. They have all these other shows still going on.
But Alphonse, we're talking about a league of tap dancers. This is a league of tap dancers.
It's a fucking comedy league. It's all like we still have different distractions. Like none of the this.
But
my thing is, why is this distraction? Why is this distraction one that?
Because you're putting people in a central location to play a sport so we can sit home and be entertained. It's the people that do comedy are in the safety of their homes, or they do it in small venues, and it might be like backyard band goes to a local space. They all know each other, test what everyone do, but it's not every day with other competing germs and blood, sweat, and all the DNA being shared in a cesspool in a white man's fucking arena to put the product on his own TV show.
So at this point, we might as well just get rid of sports.
I think you're being too. I think I get it. You're being way too passionate.
No, because at this, what you're saying is they shouldn't come back until we get some real change. And for me, real change.
Oh, that's 100%.
So real change is all of this racial stuff, all of this systematic stuff done. And at that point, that's going to take all of the time. So let's not have sports. Like, let's just call it what it is, because baseball's about to come back. The NFL's coming back in the fall. So let's just get the jump on it now. Let's not have sports.
Okay, I can go there 100%. You know I could, but I'm not gonna go to absolute. What I'm saying is, what are they getting for going to play right now? Like, what's the transaction?
They're not playing till July 31st.
No, Alphonse. I'm saying when they start playing, what will be the transaction? If you're run by a group of people that look like you who have been murdered in the streets, and of people that struggled for the past 400 years, and during a once-in-a-century global pandemic, when you have the energy of people behind you saying, this ain't right, no matter what level it is, whether it's a poster, whether it's a social media post, or going out there in COVID, whatever level it is, you have a mass of people who are behind the idea that things ain't right in your home country. And if you're going to play on July 31st, what are you getting out of it? That's what I'm asking.
And I'm saying, nothing. But my point is, what's the difference between July 31st, August 31st, December 31st, January 1st of next year? What's the difference?
What do you mean, what's the difference, bro?
What's the difference in the dates? And if there's no difference in the dates, then we might as well get rid of
the difference between, I'm saying the difference between, let's using
July 31st and August
versus
31st.
Next year. No, let's use next year. But that's too close. That's like too close. Okay. Let's use next year. Next year you had the possibility of a vaccine that I wouldn't trust, and then you also have the possibility of just completely like a downtime in the uprising movement. That's what I'm saying. Right now is when you have to strike.
And okay, someone else can jump in.
I want to ask: are we putting any onus on the players for coming back? They had should not to play?
They could have not taken their proposal.
What I mean, the Players Association could have been like, nah.
Correct.
So
They
the
still had
players
to
were
vote on it. They still had to vote on the proposal and accept it.
LeBron ain't trying to get the money back.
So I'm just kind of like, okay, we could say the owners coming back and they want to make money and do this, but the players had to sign off on this as well. They want to play, right?
They do.
The players got bills too.
We say, Shane, I'm sorry.
The players got bills too.
Well, yeah, I mean, factor that in as well. I just want to make sure that it's not just a one-sided.
If the owners already paid out 95% of some of
They
the
can get out
players,
there and play ball, you know what I mean?
that means they have to get some money if they don't come back.
Right.
Say the one more time, Shannon.
If the owners paid out 95% of most of the players' salaries, the players are going to have to give that money back if they don't come back and play.
Is that the case? They paid 95%.
Yeah, they've already paid the players for most of the
season.
Season.
But the owners get that
And
money
they
back.
pay for playoffs as well.
But the owners get that money back when they get the TV contract money, which has to be the majority of the teams playing 70-plus games, which is why they have those 8 games in there.
So we got the big joker, the little joker, and the ace of spades. And we're not going to play that hand. That's what I'm saying. Like,
no.
Okay.
So the players would have to give money back
If they don't what? Play?
if they don't play.
Alphonse. In a negotiation, bro. When you have all these factors on your backs in, you can that could be nothing. Like that's one see that's never really not a if your counter is we're not gonna pay you, it's like, okay. Like I get it. Like I mean that's like a Queen of Hearts.
No, you're thinking of the top level people. Like you're not thinking of the people on the bottom.
I know,
who
of
don't
course,
have that
of
money
course,
to give
of
back.
course. I know it. That's negotiation and sacrifice. I get it. There's some people that's on the bench that if they don't get it, they can't. Yeah, that's life.
That's
the good
life.
negotiation. No. You missed my point. The negotiations, you get that in the deal in negotiation. You make sure that's covered because you still have the upper hand. Like that's not even like they bring it to like we're not gonna pay like funny cute. You're not gonna get your TV money, bro. Like you're not getting your TV money.
And we'll just sue you for it now. We'll sue you for it now because you have breached the contract.
Alphonse, that still put too much fear and power in the other side. Fuck them. Whatever they come back with doesn't matter because you have this moment in time, bro.
I think that's a privileged state because like we not in a position, or you not in a position where like you got to worry about bills being paid. Like that, for me, that's what like telling somebody to give back money or give up their job is like that's a privileged position. Everybody got bills to pay, and unless we're talking about getting rid of all of this, it's hard for me to tell somebody go on strike.
But that's what I'm saying. You have the power to negate that. They have the power to say we want our money too. That's what I'm saying. They have the power to say and give us our paycheck.
The players
like whatever you want, huh?
All right, I think
you don't feel it. You don't feel it.
Overestimating the power of the NBA.
Alphonse, how fast did Roger Goodell make a video from the basement of his home, red faced? Like that's what I'm saying. Like we're not doing the right calculations, bro. And this was done from a guy within the organization. A guy within the organization had an idea. Like, yo, I just put these folks on video, and y'all get with it. They might make some changes. He got on Instagram in his basement. Wasn't no shield around. Wasn't no helmets behind him. There was no deaction. It was like, yo, I gotta nip this in the bud because if these brothers ain't on this field in the fall, all the money is gone. That's the power we have when it's like, and we want our money too. We want our back pay. Like that's what you get to go. But unions, you're not paying unions. They want the money back and with interest with unions. Like it's not like that's not even an issue because the big money is their fear. That's the TV money was scare them. Like I'm not playing. And why? Well, because folks keep dying in the street. Matter of fact, since the time you was BSing to now, just run off the names of people dying in the street.
And my point is, that's never going to stop. So we might as well get rid of sports. Why are you assuming that Jay stopping is going to make any of this change? We talk about centuries of this happening, and it's going to take centuries to undo. So in the meantime, this is the pen. This is the we just go stop. So just stop all of it. Let's get the clock started.
I opened up with what are the concessions. I'm not saying it has to be complete revolution and we get reparations and when we get back pay. No, no, no. What I'm saying is, what are you getting for playing on July 31st? What are they
A
getting
break.
for playing?
What is who getting? What do I would get? I'd be getting a break from this trauma. That's what I would be getting. That's
And
what I'd
that's
be
enough.
getting.
That's enough. And that's enough. Is an escapism from a reality trauma that you're going to deal with once it turns off, Alphonse? That's enough to have these brothers play a sport
That they
in a
signed up to
Disneyland?
do. I'm not forcing. No one's forcing them to do it. They agreed to do it. And you're saying, fuck their agreement. Hey, let's keep it in the streets and do this. And that protest isn't saving my life right now, Andre. Like, that's what I'm saying. So that protest isn't saving my life. I literally walked around the corner and a cop mugged me today, ready to shoot me for nothing more than walking with my wife and child. So yeah, I would like 2 hours to just say, hey, you know what? Let me put this on. These brothers signed up for, to the best of my knowledge, they're as safe as I am going to the grocery store. Even safer because they can get tested. I can't get the test in quarantine that they can, the access that they have. So they're as safe as they can be that they're choosing to be.
And the only concession is when you go back outside.
I don't know their concessions. I don't know their concessions.
Alphonse. The only thing we're getting in a transaction is that once that ball hits zero and whoever wants the most points gets the most points, you gotta go out and still walk against that cop and still be threatened.
And if they don't play, what concessions are we getting? If they don't play, what are we going to get? They're going to make the cops not steal me?
We've never stepped up to make change. We have never stepped up to make change.
Who hasn't? How did we get here? They changes, so we didn't get here with no change?
Alphonse, how are we different than 68? How is the economic reality of black folks any different than 1968?
Okay. And that goes to my further thing. Then just burn it. Just start from scratch. And you're saying no, we can play just next year. And I'm saying, what proof do you have that next year is going to be different? Even if we do this.
What I said about next year is you won't have the hand to play next year. Is what I'm saying. That's what I said. So your hand will far worse.
And I'm saying is, if we have the hand to play the biggest joker, which is stop all of it.
Agreed.
What you think?
Agreed.
Okay,
you
then.
They agree to that.
Okay, then. So I don't understand what the past 10 minutes of you been saying, no. I'm saying then cut it all out.
What I'm saying is to play the hand based off the realities you're set with. We're not playing our strongest hand. All we're doing is going to show up on July 31st, add money against their add money.
And what is our strongest hand? And what is our strongest hand?
Legislation, bro. Legislation.
Our strong and you think the NBA players are going to make the legislation? You think them not playing is going to make them that's what I don't get. How is the players not playing going to make it? But at that point, I'm off that point because I can understand the momentum piece of it. So I'm off them even playing now. At this point, I don't want any more sports then.
But you just said you
did. Yeah. At the beginning of this, and I literally just said, at that point, let's just cut it all out.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm with no sports at all. I'm with that.
Yeah, that's my thing. I'm with no sports, but you know what I'm saying, if you're gonna do it, get something out of it. I'll stop it there. That's all I'm saying.
Well, we can see what we get out of no sports.
I wish you would. I wish you had that demeanor. God, I wish. I'm done. Sorry, I'm done on that point.
So, but yeah, baseball said they'll be starting back up, which I think baseball has way bigger issues than basketball because they have people coming from different countries, and they're trying to fit a whole season in, which is a different piece than just trying to fit in playoffs. So they've gotten proposals that have been going back and forth. Both the owners and the Players Association denied each other's proposals. The latest one is a 76-game season, and it looks like that's heading over to the Players Association.
I'm sorry, I got to do my Olu James interjection. So wait a minute, brother. When any sports boycotts, right? They don't play for like a whole season, and it gets something out of it. What happened? What?
Right, my point. But that's what I said. There's a direct correlation to that. Like the people who make the legislation, the laws, are not directly affected by them playing basketball or not.
You don't think their constituency would be upset? I'm just asking. You don't think?
The constituents that made this stuff happen in the past 2 weeks? No. We looked at the demographics of who watched the NBA. That ain't what got this momentum going. It's all those people we
Oh,
talked about who don't know.
but the white folks who watch NBA care about their Negroes a lot more than the white folks who watch football. Can we agree with that concept? Like if you're a white basketball fan, you're more likely to kind of care a little more about Steph Curry than some linebacker from
And
Vanderbilt.
I would also think you're also already been on these issues. You get what I'm saying?
Okay, I think that's when you give them too much credit.
Not,
They
not,
not even,
not, no, no, no,
they,
no, no,
they
no,
don't
no,
even know.
no. Not like I'm not giving them over credit. I'm saying it's a low bar. They're just above the football fans. They're not at an acceptable bar. I'm not saying that it's an acceptable place. I'm saying they're further along than NFL fans. So
So
like,
push they ass in revolution. That was a joke. We can go back to baseball. I just want to the idea of a boycott. Like they didn't boycott before, but yeah, I go back. Go to baseball. Who really gonna watch this? To be honest, and like they got any like high level parameters of
about
where we played and who, and like
for baseball,
yeah, like they got anything nailed down. Or everything just an idea.
I mean, this stuff is an idea because they have to agree on the money first. Like if they don't agree on the money, all those other things don't matter. And so like they still can't agree on the money, and like so that's their biggest point. Like the owners want to pay out this much. The players like, nah, we want this much. Um, yeah, it's like the best thing about this is like that baseball sent another proposal back. That's the best thing. Like they're not even really saying if this proposal is going to get accepted. They're like, oh, it's a good thing that they're still negotiating. Which, I mean, at this point, like baseball, I think again I've said it before. I think baseball is missing a golden opportunity. Um, and if they lose the season, which I think is a very real possibility for them, I don't think they come back. I don't think they like. I think it becomes a super niche sport like the MMA.
I think that's kind of strong.
That's real strong.
They lose a whole season.
It's a game in the summertime.
But here's the thing,
Because
like
it goes back to, I mean, whenever
we're not going.
normalcy is returned, it still be like a summertime game. What are we really watching in the summertime?
Well, if basketball is around, basketball will have a new calendar, and that's what we'll be watching in the summertime.
I think it's then you'll see the division in the population. I still think baseball fans, and I do believe that there are a lot of baseball fans, they still watch quote unquote pastime.
Just an observation: the baseball fans are also the highest population to be affected by COVID. I'm just putting it out there.
But they also that's baseball is like that sport where you can have like a get together around it, like a social gathering. Like you don't have to pay attention the whole time. You can drink, catch up with your friends. It's during the summer.
You know what when I think about that. You know what else I hear when I think about that? I think about an MMA card. You get your friends together, you drink. You don't gotta watch all the moments. You just gotta watch the big moments. Sounds like a niche sport to me.
I think baseball.
You're not watching MMA at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday though.
Only because they don't show it, not because you wouldn't. They showed a boxing match over from Russia over here at like 11 a.m. People watched it. It was Klitschko.
But now, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, as far as comparing it to MMA, MMA is not on every day. MMA is not 16 different possible games. It's 32 baseball teams, 16 possible games each day. Then factor in the double headers. I just think baseball is too ingrained in the fabric of the United States that it'll fall off to that point. Because even after the last strike, when they lost the season, they lost a whole season.
Mm-hmm.
In the World Series. And what did they have to interject to get their game back?
Well,
Steroids.
Who's to say they wouldn't do something underhanded again? But it came back. And that was to get the casual fans, not the baseball fans. The baseball fans are still.
And why did they need the casual fans? Because the the ingrained fans wasn't bringing in the money.
No, I get it. I totally get that, but I don't
So
think it fell off to the point of we can compare it to MMA.
I
It,
get.
go ahead, Dre.
My only thing was like it depends on what lens you're looking at it. Alphonse, are you looking at it from a 2040 lens? Because if you're looking at a 2040 lens, I can see how like in 2060 this is definitely gonna be a niche sport. Like in 2060, bro, nah, it's gonna be like frisbee or something gonna be popular sport, some non-contact and whatever. But if you're talking like now into like 2025, it's still gonna be baseball. But the thing is, like I was trying to, what I was alluding to with COVID is that 65 and up is watching baseball. And if they got to deal with the hell of ramifications of a global pandemic, they're going to need it to escape, but at the same time, they're not coming to the parks to watch it as much
And that,
as they used to. So,
but that's what I'm talking about. Like,
yeah, I'm with you.
the older folks are not going to come to the park. The younger folks are not watching it because they don't play it because they priced out of it if they're on the poorer generation, right? So we're going to have these big stadiums already decimated because of COVID and how we're going to react to that. Like, we're not going to put 100,000 people in a stadium anymore.
Neither was baseball.
Touche. So like I get, yes, there'll be a baseball game on every day, but like I don't see people putting on having a baseball game on and doing their like other things. Like for them to fulfill their contracts, like they're gonna have to change how they package baseball. And up until now, they haven't seemed that ingenuitive to do that. Is why I'm saying I think it's gonna fall to that point.
I got a statement and a question. My statement is also they got to contend with esports. I know it sounds like, for instance, that sounds fringy or
No. I'm gonna put a pin in that. Go ahead, say the next thing, and I'm gonna find that esports thing.
So that's they never had to compete against esports. That's like if you're gonna play a game for 4 hours at between like 10 and 11 or 10 and 2. My favorite Twitch caster is going for that same time. And and the second thing I have a question, Alphonse. So you said they're missing the golden opportunity. What is that golden opportunity?
Well, they said to be on right now. Like their game,
okay.
Their game is a game where they don't have much contact. Like their biggest piece of contact, they legislated out with you can't slide hard in the second, you can't truck the catcher. So they don't really have contact. And like people needed things, so like this would be front and we need live sports. And this would have been a time for them to be front and center, but they can't get the money right. And so now their time is dwindling. Basketball supposed to start July 31st. Everything that I'm saying they're saying every day that they miss is like 1 to 2 games off the season because they got to get everybody from the district countries. And I'm like you guys didn't have the foresight to see. Oh my gosh! Once basketball shut down, those owners should have been on a con call with each other. What can we do to make sure we're ready to go when we get the medical advice to say we can go? It seems like they waited for the medical advice and like, oh shit, we got to negotiate. Damn it. All right, let's go do this now. That's what it feels like to me. And that's why I said they missed that opportunity because we've been at home. And the thing about esports is you're totally right because we're doing our planning for sports at my school already. And flag football's out. Esports is one of the things we talked about bringing in. And so if they're talking about doing that as an extracurricular activity for schools, that's a whole group of kids that's just not going to be doing baseball during the summer.
Yeah. it's a whole new world. Like, okay, can we try to link the two, baseball and the basketball?
Go right ahead, man. I'm for it, man. I mean,
so, and I don't know about baseball because the sideline guys, my disclaimer for everything. Is it, and I'm just assuming because it's how they operate since they've touched the shores, are they saying the price is too high that the players want?
Yes. You know that's what they're saying.
Fuck. I know, but like, I just need to hear it out loud. Like,
come on now.
What kind of asinine, like,
yeah.
I don't really have no comment. I'm let the others, because it's the price, like, what they don't want to, like, is it 100, like, what did the players ask? Do you know? Like, is it like, oh, we take 85? They're like, nah, take 50. Like, nah, I'm not doing 50. I'll do 85. And they're like, nah, not 85. Like, is it like 100?
No. It's like they want the players to take like 35%.
35? I thought it was 50%.
35% of the no. Hold up. 35% of the prorated salary.
They want to take 35% of the prorated salary?
right? That's what I'm
Like, so
looking.
hold on, I'll make sure I understand it. So say people have play 100%, 100 games, but right now we're at game 70. I'm not gonna pay you for 70 games. I'm gonna pay you for 35% of 70 games.
They're saying, all right, if 75, so they're saying 75% of the contracts will be guaranteed,
Uh
right?
huh.
And then they're saying, like, the thing says, my very quick scribbling suggests that players will be getting roughly 35% of their original salaries for a 76 game slate. So to me, when I read that
Hell
and
no.
comprehend that, that says if they prorated their 162 game salary over 76 games, the owners are offering 35% of that.
Oh, so you
That
already
is,
done the math. Gotcha.
that's
You
ridiculous.
get the answer at the end. Okay. Yeah,
That's crazy.
that's
That's
absurd.
nuts.
Like that's disrespectful.
There would be
Like
no season.
I would go play golf. Like I was purposely, if I was a dual sport player, I had to go sit on the bench for somebody, like a club team in Germany or something. I had to be so fucking that is disrespectful. And that's 35%.
If the playoffs are completed, they will make 35% of their original salary. That is crazy. That's crazy.
They need to riot. That's who needs to riot. Fuck Black Lives Matter. I'm joking. It's a joke. I'm the one who also said I'm down for no sports. They understand I'm joking.
Hey.
It's
Well,
a joke.
it's okay. I was with you.
I know it hurts because it's real, like right now, but it was a joke. But 35%, bro?
35%.
Nah. Wait, are they gonna do like a one location too, or like how are they doing that?
Two. I think they're gonna
West
do
Coast,
like
East Coast?
Florida, Arizona. Yeah,
Oh,
Florida.
okay. 35%.
Yeah.
Then you said they sent back a counter knowing that it's not going to be like they sent it.
That's
Like we
the
just sent it
counter.
back.
That's the counter.
Get the fuck.
That's the counter. That wasn't.
I'm going back on mute.
Like it is. Whew, it's crazy. And it's one of the, I'm on ESPN, by the way. One of the questions said, "Is the possibility of a shorter season still in play?" And the first answer is absolutely. With the with the Players Association likely to say no to this latest proposal, we are still marching in that direction. Oh
Who
my
said that?
goodness, that's what the writers are saying. Like, it's pretty much agreed that the Players Association is going to reject this and send something back, and like we're in negotiations. It's just like, oh man.
So are the owners of baseball in a more precarious situation, or the owners of NFL and NBA?
I don't know the owners situation. The owners of the NFL and NBA might be more precarious, might have more money tied up with their teams than baseball.
That's what I'm feeling, because if we pimping and I'm like, y'all only get you 35%, but if you just say I have a headache and I will get you anything you need within 24 hours, I just think it gives more power to the brothers. The brothers got more power in this. I'm saying they could push it a lot harder if baseball out here punking their players and the NFL got their leader crying in the basement of his house. You got a big joker and a little joker.
I mean, I yes, definitely, we're in agreement there. I just don't. I guess my thing is I don't know, and maybe this is me. Maybe I need to be on the front lines more. I don't know how much they could push more beyond like.
Bro, okay, I'm with you. Okay, I get you. But from a comedy perspective, they said I want you to say this, that.
No. I'm talking about the NBA. We could get to the NFL in a second. We could get to the NFL in a second. We could talk. We could talk about that one because I got some different things on that one. The NBA is different. The NFL totally. That's. I think they have that leverage as well. I think it's totally different. NBA and NFL.
So you're thinking so the NBA would lose more goodwill if they would say we're not gonna play no games.
Right, that's where I'm saying.
Okay.
And I feel like if the NFL is more like we're not playing. The NFL is further down the road, so people are not getting mad at them. Right now they'll get mad at the owners. The NBA, we see that deadline, and we see that, and this is flipped, and so for me, I feel like we blaming the players for not seeing the future. Like, they had no idea these protesters were going. This was kind of like, well, I take that back. This was done last Thursday. Yeah, I take that back.
What was on last Thursday?
When the NBA said they'll play, when the Players Association voted on it.
Okay.
So I mean, we was in the throes of protest then. I just think we can see it, and I think the NFL can flex their might more than the NBA. Like the NFL can definitely flex their might because, as you said, they put that video out, and in 24 hours, Roger Goodell was in his basement.
Bro,
One
was in
thing
the
I did
bunker.
want to say is that I have seen some things like, well, where was this video in 2016? And I did a little digging, and a lot of those people in that video were either not in the league or very young in their careers. So I don't necessarily think it's fair to look at
Oh,
those people on the video and be like, why didn't you do anything when Colin was in the league? It's like,
oh, well, Alvin, but you're 100% right. But the question could even go further. Like, where would that video be without that one employee? Like, they weren't gonna do. They weren't gonna do nothing like that unless that one guy had that idea. Like, yo, f this, because he's in the midst of the chaos. Like, he sees it, like this doesn't make any sense. I'm at work and they act like this is not happening. The players, I don't think you would have gotten none of this level if it wasn't for someone who can see the absurdity up close. So
okay,
to say where were they in 2016 is like, nah, that's not even equal footing because you still wouldn't have had it now if it wasn't for the employee. So I get what you're saying, 100%. Yeah.
but I do think it'll be interesting to see like these owners come out and be forced to make statements, because like if we keep progressing, we're gonna eventually have some sort of training camp or some sort of workout thing, which means we'll have a media day, which means they'll have to get out there and say stuff. And as we're seeing in college football, people either believe them and take them at their word, or we'll get stories coming out like at Florida State, where the coach said he texted people personally, and comes out he just sent out a mass text, which I don't understand why he would lie on that. Like, these kids have social media; they could send a text message going without you. And then we had Dabo Sweeney and then his assistant coach, accusations of saying an N word. So it'll be real interesting to see what these owners and GMs and the usual puppets who get out there, see what they say now, and what the players have to say to it.
I was gonna let Shannon the mic chime in.
Hey, he's muted right now, so you.
I forgot what I was gonna say. What was the last 2 points you made? 2 points ago. 2 points ago. I just blank.
Just like you.
What was the topic we were talking about? It was.
The owners and GMs coming out meeting
Oh,
day.
F you. Wait, so
Florida State.
the players, so the coach said he texted them personally,
Yeah.
and then they were like, "Nah, we got a group text."
No, the coach they was like, he ain't text me personally. Like,
But okay. Well, did he meet like to a coach?
no,
Who just doing a bunch of that wasn't that could have been interpreted like that was personal to him.
nope, nope,
He better come
nope,
win a whole bunch of games.
nope. That
He's done.
you can't try to use that defense. I don't know technology defense. Nah,
Oh
bro.
no! I just meant from the perspective of if I send a group text to me, that's being personal with my Negro players. That's what I was saying. Like, did his personal have to mean 1-to-1, or did it really just mean, hey, a group text is personal, bro?
No, he said back and forth.
Yeah, that was the other piece.
I mean, did folks respond to the group text?
Yeah, minimal people. He made it seem like he was talking to all his players.
That could have been sensationalized too by the media.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Nope. No. Here's why it wasn't. Because he came out and then said, I sent out a group text. He clarified that it was a group text. If it was sensationalized, he'd have said, nah, man, y'all doing too much. I had personal things. He was like, oh, nah, I sent out a mass text and some people responded. That's not personally contacting your players.
Hey, brother, I ain't gonna defend him for more than 30 seconds. That's all I was saying. I gave my 30 seconds defense. I'm done.
That's not going to move me too much. I'm kind of like, all right. I mean, even if I was one of the players, like, all right, coach, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna. It's not. I'm not gonna organize a boycott until something happens.
All right, hold up.
Whatever.
Here we go. I can put this. I can put this in terms we can all can understand, and we all have been to it, right? You send out a group text to several different ladies. Is that personal? I didn't think so.
Hold on. Yeah. Fuck. I mean,
See, that's what I'm saying. It's all in perspective.
I mean, I mean, if you send out a group text, right, and then then you turn off your group messages, and then you get individual responses, like,
All right, okay. So
Merry
even if
Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, and then you get responses from each person that's not in a group messaging, like,
hold on,
okay,
let's not do
and
that.
not even
All
each
right.
person.
But that's not the same. That's not the type of message we talking about. He made it seem like he was getting personal messages from the jump.
I mean, but it made it seem like, I mean, even if he did, I'm not even disputing that, and I'm not. Me just throwing the media could make it look different than what it was. I'm just saying I don't think that's